Hey everyone, my name's Jeff. Welcome back to Jones Works. This one's going to be a little bit different. Normally I have about 10 projects going on in here at once, so today I'm going to focus on all the small projects that I do while I wait for things to dry on some of the bigger projects. So we're going to use up a bunch of scrap wood and make a bunch of different things. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. Now let's get to the projects. Alright, first up we are going to make a small bar table out of a cutoff from a butcher block countertop. The way we're going to do this is by cutting off the majority of the waste using a jigsaw. Then we're going to use a router with a template guide bit to cut the edges to an MDF circle. To secure the MDF template, we're just using CA glue to temporarily fix it to the butcher block. The cutoffs from the butcher block will be used later on in the video, so they don't go to waste either. Now we're making shallow passes, only lowering the bed about 1/8 of an inch with each pass to avoid tear out. Eventually, when we remove most of the waste, we can remove the template and then swap out the router bit to where the guide bearing is on the opposite end. And so we'll be riding against the butcher block instead of the template. After finishing up the flush cut trimming, I threw in a small roundover bit, rounded over the edges, and gave it a quick sand. For finish, I used just the natural Danish oil, and then for a protective coat, I applied Total Boat's Halcyon Clear, which is my new favorite go-to finish. I end up swapping these legs for some hairpin ones because these ones looked a little too bulky to me, but otherwise this little table is done. Next up, we are just going to start laminating boards together. So when I'm making projects in the shop, I hang on to every single hardwood cutoff that I can, and I organize them by size rather than species. And that way, whenever I have enough, I usually use the long ones for cutting boards like this here, and then I use the shorter ones for charcuterie boards, or like these are going to be wall mounted bottle openers, and shorter ones I may use for, say, coasters or pocket bottle openers. So there's just an endless amount of things you can make with these scraps. You could be pretty creative too. Some of these will have specific patterns, or sometimes I like to just glue up random pieces of wood and make kind of a chaotic pattern. You can do whatever you like. Beforehand, I didn't know what I'd end up with, but I ended up with quite a few cutting board blanks and smaller blanks for other projects. So at this stage, it's just flattening them down and cutting them to size. Forgot to record the glue up on this one, but it's going to be a football shaped cribbage board. First, I made a quick template by making 1/4 of the football shape, then flipping it to each side so I know I'm drawing the exact same curve. Following that, I trim off the excess with the bandsaw and then take it over to the edge sander to bring it on down to my lines. After sanding it into shape, I rounded over the edges to make it a good feel in the hand, and then got to drilling the holes, and there were a lot of holes to drill. I think I rushed this part a little bit because on a couple of them there was a little bit of tear out, but I was able to clean it up pretty well with the sander. I'll link this template in the description, and it worked out really well. I went ahead and used more of that natural Danish oil for this one, and this one's done too. So now on to the next one. Now we're going to make all the wall mounted bottle openers. I make a line on my miter saw because I make these enough, and that way I can quickly find where they're at and make them all the same length, which is 8 inches. After cutting the size, I give them a quick sand and then cut some holes in the back for some neodymium magnets. I like to have these catch the caps. I think it's a nice touch. to glue them into the back. For this project, I used CA glue just because I had it on hand, but I normally use 5-minute epoxy for this. Whether I'm using CA glue or epoxy, I do like to use that medium Star Bond CA to tack the magnets down. That way they don't float to the top when the glue is trying to dry. And again, just because it's a nice touch, I like to fill the rest of the hole with the glue. Like I said, normally epoxy. In this case, I'm using thick CA glue. After gluing in the magnets, I line them on up and start throwing some finish on. Again, using Danish oil, I think it's just a really nice, easy to use finish. And then for more hard wearing finish, just using that Halcyon Clear by Total Boat. I really like these wall-mounted bottle openers because it's a good way to use up that scrap wood, the smaller pieces that you really don't know what to do with. Last step for these is throwing on the hardware. I have 3 different colors that I'm using. I have rose gold, nickel, and black bottle openers. I get these in packs on Amazon, and I'll link them below. It's a great deal if you want to batch these out. Now, I've made a few cutting board videos in the past already, so I didn't really go too much into detail, but I think you've probably noticed the theme of this video is just laminating boards together, and I love this technique. I think these things turn out so beautiful. So if you have any scrap wood, I definitely recommend giving this all a try. One thing I want to mention while we finish off these boards is I used a lot of CA glue in these projects, and I am an affiliate of Star Bond, so if you want to get 10% off of your order, I'll link down in the description below a code where you can place your order. So I use it all the time. I think it's great, and I think you will too. But anyway, that's going to do it for this one. I'm really happy with how everything turned out. As you can see, I swapped out the legs on the table. I really hated the ones that I put on it in the video, but these ones look a lot nicer. And everything else is just scrap wood and stuff I had in the shop. Even the hardware on the bottle openers, I buy those in packs on Amazon. I'll link those down below. And I keep them around for things like this, just being able to use up the shorter scraps, and then the longer scraps I use for cutting boards like this. I even got a template and was able to make a cribbage board. And I've already given the football one to who I made that for. So really stoked at how these turned out. Now I have a quick announcement for those of you in the Boise area. As many of you know, we recently lost someone very dear to us, Paul Whitehouse. He was an incredible, selfless person, and he will definitely be missed. In September, on the 18th, we will be holding a benefit tournament as well as an auction to help raise funds to ease the stress for Anita and Kelly. I'm going to donate several of these, and I will also post a few on my website for those of you who aren't in the area. I'll put all of the information in the description below. That's going to do it for this one. Next project will be that larger project I mentioned, and I'm very excited for that one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you on the next project.